History of the Irish League, Mr. David Jeffrey MBE. Well, if anybody was your partner a few years ago, you would have seen that dance and that music that played on many, many occasions whenever this man led Linfield to title after title after title.
And first of all, I apologise for that very poor effort at dancing there. Back in the day, I'm still maybe Big Davy, but back then I was really, really Big Davy. And unfortunately, this part of me was like a bass drum, so that was me reenacting that. So apologies for the dance. It wasn't up to my usual standard.
Ladies and gentlemen, in 17 seasons, this man had 31 trophies, 9 Irish League titles, 7 Irish Cups, 6 League Cups, 6 County Antrim Shields, 1 Santana, 1 Charity Shield, 1 Flitlit Cup, and 6 doubles in 7 seasons. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. David, we're going to go back and just a few years before you were actually the manager of Linfield. You were at Manchester United for a short time, and then you returned home to Linfield as a player for almost 10 years. Did you enjoy your time at Manchester United?
It wasn't actually all glamour. I signed for Manchester United as a schoolboy when I was 14. In my last year at school, they flew me across at weekends to play in the various youth teams. At 16 I became an apprentice, and then at 17 I had a 3-year pro contract. But it was not glamorous at all, I can assure you. As a 16-year-old, you would have looked after the boots, cleaned the kits, cleaned out the shop, done all the sort of manual stuff, which didn't do anybody any harm whatsoever. It actually made sure you kept your feet right on the ground. Unfortunately for me, my first 2 years at Manchester United went well. Was on the brink of the reserves and then got into the reserves. But unfortunately, my last year there was a change of manager, and Mr. Ron Atkinson, some of you might have heard of him, and he told me, no, you're not good enough, and that was it. And back in the day, it was rather, I suppose, cruel at the time, but back in the day there was no agents, no one sort of tried to redirect you anywhere, so I came back home again, and I signed for Linfield Football Club.
We were very, very glad to have you. David, in your time at Linfield as a player, who would have been the best player you played with or you played against?
Oh, best player I played with? Probably the best player overall, I think, was actually Martin McGackie. And I'll tell you the reason why I say Martin McGackie, because Linfield supporters have an awful habit, maybe I'm picking on a particular player and not being overly supportive for a period. And Martin really wasn't accepted almost till he won the silver boot. So he was such an outstanding, unbelievable player. Very, very modest man, really modest man. But the number of trophies that we won because of Martin's goal scoring exploits was incredible. Hardest to play against was a fellow called Gary McCartney. Gary served in the police. He played for Glentoran, and he was a tough nut, let me tell you. A real. Glentoran supporters in here. Is that the Cookstown Glens, man?
Sorry,
Well, I've been thinking about you and remembered you. We all have our problems, we all have our troubles. Well, I promise. Gary McCartney, and he was an outstanding centre forward. And the one thing about Gary is that he could have kicked the ball day, and he never frightened. He never ever frightened, and it was a tremendous goal scorer. So he would have been the toughest I ever played against.
David, after you played for Linfield, then you moved on to Ards and Larne, and then you came back to Linfield as assistant manager with Trevor Anderson as a manager in 1996. 1997, then you were appointed manager of Linfield. What was your initial thoughts of actually knowing that you had Linfield Football Club on your shoulders, the success or the failure or whatever?
I apologise to all those who are not Linfield supporters, because you'll not actually get this unless you are a blue man or a blue woman. I remember as a young boy walking down the Granshire Road with my Linfield scarf on, going to Linfield games. I then had the privilege of playing for my boyhood club. I captained them for 8 or 9 years. To come back and be the first assistant manager, and then to be blessed, God was so good to allow me to have the manager's post, was absolutely fantastic. But you always sort of think going into the job that, you know how to do it and you're pretty confident. I didn't realise how massive a job it was until I took it on. But the overwhelming emotion was just of pride and just thanking God. I'm now manager of Linfield. Supported them, played for them, captained them, and now I'm manager. So it was the most incredible feeling.
I know I've heard David Healy saying a few times that outside the manager of Northern Ireland, to manage Linfield is the next biggest job in the country.
I think it is, and the demands are ridiculously high, simply because of our history, because of our heritage, because of the number of trophies that we've done out down the year. The bar has been set very, very high. It was set very high before I came, and it's still set high long after I've left. So when you think of the likes of Roy Coyle, what he's done, what David has done himself, which is absolutely amazing. You know, the job is a tough job.
Well, is there any wee stories, David, that you can share with us maybe throughout your time that, and you can mention names or not, whatever you want.
Yeah, we've some stories. I tell you what, a lot of you be familiar with Jackie Third. Yeah, you would, right, Jackie. Well, I love him to bits. I absolutely love him to bits. Wonderful, wonderful man. But I remember one day he and I were doing the co-commentary. I was co-commentary on an Irish Cup match. And prior to the game, I said, "Now, Jackie, make sure that we have passes for the day. Make sure, I'm telling you now, we haven't moved passes." He said, "David, why do you need a pass? You're the, like the pregnant pause, you're the King of Windsor." And I said, "Jackie, listen, it might be Windsor Park, might be Linfield's home ground, but I can tell you now, Jackie, there's not a chance in the world am I getting up here without a pass, because they'll just not let me in." He says, "David, we'll sort the passes out, don't you worry." So on the day of the game, I met Jackie at the front of the gates, and we're walking up to the big blue gates, which are obviously no longer there. And I said, "Jackie, have you got my pass? Have you got my pass?" He says, "David, chill. I'll get your pass." And if you know Jackie, that's how he gets on. I says, "Jackie, listen, I would begin to panic. We're coming closer to the gate." I says, "Jackie, have you got my pass?" He says, "Yes, there you are, David." So I was quite content. So we walked on a little bit further, and I said, "Jackie, tell me this. Where's your pass?" He said, "David, my face is my pass." Another story that he actually told against himself, but I actually overheard it. You remember, some of us who are of an age when you were flying anywhere, you had the boarding passes to complete. And Jackie was sitting beside the late great Dr. Malcolm Brodie, very learned man, incredible journalist. And Jackie was filling in the landing card, and he came to occupation. And he says, Dr. Brodie, could you help me with my spelling?" And in a very rough, broad Scottish accent, he says, "Well, what is it, Jackie? How can I help you?" "I'm just filling in occupation here. How many G's is there in megastar?" This is it, and they'll probably, well, they will forgive me. They will forgive me. I remember, as a manager, I always protected my players within an inch of my life. They were my boys. They were my men. Don't anybody ever criticise them. And so, and that was my standpoint. Always had my men's back. We were playing in a European Cup game match in Slovenia, and On the last night after the game, we always had the boys, have a few orange juices and maybe something else, and that was fine. Anyway, next morning, I come downstairs, I go in for breakfast, and the manager straight over to me, Mr. Jeffrey. I can't remember if he spoke like that or not, but that certainly didn't help. It'll help the story. It'll help the story. Mr. Jeffrey, your players. He says, they caused a lot of trouble last night. They caused a lot of trouble. I says, my players caused trouble? Not a chance in the world. Oh, Mr. Jeffrey, I tell you, Mr. Jeffrey, they caused a lot of trouble. We had a lot of complaints. I says, you're absolutely joking. My players? I says, not a chance in the world. Not a chance. He says, you come see the video. I says, certainly. Do you want me to come and see the video? Not a problem, mate. Just you get the video on there. Can show the video. So I set the video up, and there was one Jimmy McGrew and one Paul McAreevy, Jimmy of the Protestant faith, Paul of the Catholic faith, playing a game called the Red Hand of Ulster. Now you're wondering, what is this game, the Red Hand of Ulster? The Red Hand of Ulster consisted of the pair of them running stark naked up and down the corridor, trying to plant a red hand of Ulster on the other's BTN. True story. So I'm watching the video, and I'm looking at the video, and I'm looking at the video, and I'm looking at the video, and I am really sorry. That is totally out of character for those two fellas. Absolutely, and that was one time. Another time, another great player, Stephen Douglas. Stephen's from Ballymena, lovely man, and he's a family friend. We were playing Carrick Rangers in a pre-season friendly, and back in the early days, we would have been very formal for all of the matches, shirt and tie, and you suited and booted, always really, set out. Anyway, the quick boss, we're playing down, what do you want us to wear? I says, listen, smart casual. And this is going to show my age, by the way, particularly to the younger ones. So I said, smart casual. So we're down in Carrick, and we're just standing, all the players were gathering, standing around. And I saw Stephen sort of walking across the pitch, really cool, with that walk, the boys like to walk, swinging looking at yourselves and thinking, aren't I absolutely gorgeous? Yeah. And anyway, and I looked at Stephen, and I could see him coming towards me, and I could feel the blood pressure going up and up and up and up and up, because he had a pair of trainers on, he had a lovely shirt, he had a lovely waist jacket, lovely pair of trousers, but a pair of trainers, and I went absolutely bananas. And I said, Stephen, what are you coming to a game like that for? And this is where I hadn't a clue about style. He said, boss, you said smart casual. So he pointed to the shirt, the waistcoat, and the jeans. He said, smart. And then he pointed to the trainers and went, casual. True story. I still find him 50 quid. That's a true story as well. Whenever he tells that story, he tells people I find him 3 weeks' wages, but I think it was only £50. Another question that I'm often asked when I do any sort of Q&As, they would say, Billy Joe Burns, why did you call him William Joseph, David? Why did you call him William Joseph? And in fact, I spoke at Billy Joe's testimonial dinner recently. Now, my stance on signing any player at any time was very simple. They had to be a good person, someone of good integrity, someone of character, and they had to be a good footballer. But they had to be a good person first and foremost. I didn't care what church you went to. I wasn't interested in your politics. All I ever wanted was that I wanted to make sure that you were, as I say, you were a good person and a good footballer. He came to me one day and he says, boss, you seem to be calling me, William Joseph all the time. That makes me sound like a Protestant. I says, you're correct, William Joseph. because at this moment in time I have more Catholics in this team than I have Protestants. So you may be from White Rock, and I actually went to a school, Corpus Christi, and gave prizes out. And up at Corpus Christi, you can be Billy Joe all day long. But you see, when we were going to the supporters club doing the Shackle Road, you're William Joseph. And just to illustrate the difficulty that I had a wonderful midfield made up of 4 Tims. 4 Tims. We had Michael Galt, Paul McAreevy, Oran Kearney, and Tim Mounsey. Thank goodness. 3 were Catholic and 1 was Protestant. But there were 4 Tims. And that's how the banter, and that's how we used to be with them. But as I say, back, and still now it's the same, but I never cared. And the wonderful thing about playing for Linfield is when they went to the Shanklin, when they went anywhere, they were treated extraordinarily well. And the point that I wanted to make is I signed good people who were good footballers, and God truly blessed us. So those are 2 or 3 of these stories.
No problem, no problem. In 2014, you stepped down and followed on to be the manager of Ballymena United, and you led up to League Cup success in 2016 and 2017. You also made many finals with Ballymena, including 2 Irish Cup finals against Crusaders. Don't like to bring it up, but I certainly do know, watching most of it at home, last maybe 2 minutes, Ballymena were winning. And I'll let you tell a story, David.
No one expected us obviously to compete against Crusaders. They were by far the better side, they had a stronger squad. But the one thing that always, when I loved the fact when you went into a game and you were an underdog, and one of the things that God has been good is maybe give me an ability to motivate people. And against the run of play, we went 1-0 ahead. Quite a fluky goal, to tell you the truth. But we got into injury time, and I could literally just feel the sensation of walking around with a cup and maybe doing a rock DJ again. I wasn't sure, but we were so close. And in the final minute of extra time, I think it was maybe 4 or 5, ironically, Jonathan Tuffy, who was the goalkeeper for Crusaders, I was his best man at his wedding. He came up from a corner, got a flick on, and Crusaders scored. And they equalised, and I remember sort of being so deflated, but thinking, right, listen, we've got extra time, we can still do this. So we played for another half an hour, and I think in the 28th or 29th minute, ball came into the box. Jonathan McMurray, who I had brought to Ballymena years previously, here did he score the winning goal with minute, and I just sort of thought, oh my goodness gracious me. So I remember going down on my knees, and I've never felt as, in a game of football, as physically sick or as disappointed. Afterwards I thought, well, it was only a game of football, but it was an absolutely horrible feeling. So it was a horrible feeling, horrible. So I didn't enjoy that at all.
But you obviously had some great successes over the years, as being manager of Ballymena and Linfield, so maybe the odd defeat, hard to take at the time, but builds better character, doesn't it? Oh,
it builds character. In fact, I'll tell you a couple of lovely stories. And this is just about having belief and desire. We played 1984, Linfield played Shamrock Rovers, and some of the older gentlemen may appreciate this. We played Shamrock Rovers at Windsor Park. They were probably the best side in Ireland, on the island of Ireland at that time. And we drew 0-0 in Belfast. We went down to Dublin to play Shamrock Rovers. Linfield supporters were banned, but there's no point trying to ban a Linfield supporter. See, if you go to Mars, you'll find a Linfield supporter. That's just how they operate, And we were in the changing room, and if you can imagine it, everybody was against us. So just park that thought, because I'll go back to the landing cards, and I remember filling mine in, and it was purpose of visit. and I put to beat Shamrock Rovers, and I still have the landing card to this day. I still have it. So I'd already in my head, we need to go and believe in ourselves and go and win this game. So cut a long story short, as I said, they go back, we're in the change room, and Roy Coyle's there reading out the supporters club's letters. Sorry we can't be with you today in body, but we'll be with you there in spirit. We'll be there for you. And all the boys were beginning to rile, get each other up and get each other going. And honestly, you couldn't write the script. You could not write the script. Roy Coyle was just finishing reading all of these letters out, and suddenly we heard this strain. Follow, follow, we will follow Linfield. You know the rest of the song. And we just, everybody just stood up and we thought, right, we are going to go out and do this. Anyway, I'll tell you who scored that day. See, back then, I was a Greek god. Don't anybody dare say, you look like Shrek now. That would be very, very hurtful. I had these long, blonde, flowing locks. Anyway, the story about the goal is that I remember it being reported, a fantastic strike by Jeffrey, such precision, great strike of the ball flew past the goalkeeper, outstanding piece of play. That wasn't really the truth about it at all, folks, and I've got to tell you the truth, the absolute truth. There was a big centre half from Shamrock Rovers, a corner up against us, and he hit me such a wallop, right, elbow right across the top of my head, and my head was throbbing. So we actually got a corner, at their end. So ball came into the box, ball was clear, and I saw the big centre back coming towards me. I thought, this is my opportunity now. I'm going to do you, boy. And I mean do him. So anyway, it was coming towards me, and I literally went like this, with my fist out, and like this, I thought I'm going to hit him with this and this. Missed him with this, missed him with that, connected with the ball. The ball went, I hit it, God guided it, it went into the back of the net, I ran down the whole way, right down to the bottom where all the blue men were there, and went absolutely bananas, climbed up on the fence, went nuts, and it was just the most incredible day. And I remember afterwards then that the press were coming, David, that was a great strike. Did you mean that? I said, of course I meant it. I dare any of you doubt my integrity and character. Another story similar to that, and it's about, the other thing, if I can maybe throw this message in, I have a wee saying, you always strive to be your best at all things. And there's a reason behind that. You're probably aware, I'm a man of faith, but I remember on another occasion in 2005 we went down to play Shelburne in the St Alta Cup. That was the infamous year when our friends from the Oval, you won the league that day, Chris Morgan Day, you'll remember, sir. And we were totally deflated. And I remember having to go back across to the Oval to play the St Alta Cup game to get us into the final. And the Glen men really rub it into me. Yeah. They have a song, and it's Down to Daydream Believer, and it goes something like this. Cheer up, David Jeffrey, oh what can it be for a sad Linfield and a football team. Now they must have put that on loop, because I heard it about 20 blooming times. Honest to goodness. So that night, only the diehards of Linfield supporters were there. Our players were really down in their boots, so they worked really hard. Thankfully, we played particularly well that night. To be fair, Glentoran were league champions, so maybe their eye were taking off the ball. We won the game, and we were then pitched against Shelburne. And we went down to Shelburne, and no one gave us a pup's chance. No one gave us a pup's chance. So they had 23 full-time pros. They were a fantastic side, an absolute machine. And basically people were just saying, well, if we go down and we give a respectable performance. But in my own mind, I just sort of thought, listen, if the players know that I believe in them and if Brian McLaughlin believes in them, then we can do this. And I pumped them and pumped them and pumped them. I remember sort of going right up to them and saying, do you believe you can do this? Do you really believe you can do this? Tell me, do you believe you can do this? And people were still doubting, so I thought, right. Do you believe you can do this? Do you? Do you really believe that you can do this? Because you see, if you don't believe you can do it, there is no... What about you? There is... I was going to let a big gulder learn, I thought about it, and that's so we're down here to the big gulder. I said, if there's no point, if you don't believe that you can do this, there is no point going out onto that pitch. Not a chance in the world. So I'm telling you, you've got to believe it. Proudest night ever. We won 2-0. It was brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. 2,000 blue men down in Dublin singing every song we wanted to sing. It was absolutely class. So anyway, to fast forward the story, Lord Wallace Brown was being inducted to the Lord Mayor of Belfast, and I was asked along. To speak at his dinner. So I spoke about the winning of the St. Tata Cup, and the Reverend Doctor was there that evening. And anyway, I said, in terms of Glentoran, they did fantastically well. They were league champions that year and thoroughly deserved it. It must have been marvellous to be champions of 6 counties. As for Linfield, St. Tata, All Ireland champions. It's great to be champions of 26. And in these days of new political dispensation where everyone is loving everybody else, Linfield have done what all of you politicians have tried to do and still can't do, but should never have been done. We have united Ireland again. And the Catholic brethren that were there that night looked at us like 2 heads. Linfield have united Ireland again. They couldn't get their heads around it. They couldn't get their heads around it. So that's another way inside of just go, you know. And I see the bands are here tonight, and I'm a flute player, and I play concert flute in the G treble. And I'm just going to say, for any of the smaller pipe bands who are maybe not champions, and they're going in against some of the bigger boys and bigger girls, always believe in yourselves, always think you can do what other people think that you can't do. And in anything in life, always make sure that you look to give of your best. My simple one is I look to give of my best because Christ did his best for me. He died on the cross for me. You know, so that's the thing that keeps me going. But I'll tell you, that night down in Dublin was absolutely brilliant. And for those of you with any memory, the next day I remember we were coming back up the road, and Rangers had to win, I think, 6 or 7 against Dunfermline to win the Scottish League. And here didn't they win the Scottish League? So it was a fantastic weekend all around. We united Ireland, and Rangers kept everyone in Scotland happy.
David, over the years, who would you say would have been the hardest manager to beat in order to beat their teams? Who would have been the most difficult?
Oh, two men really, and they are the proper godfathers of Irish League football, Ronnie McFall and Roy Coyle. 2 amazing men. Ronnie, I love both men to bits, you know, and still in all of what they've done and what they've achieved. But Ronnie and Roy, for different reasons, they were the toughest men to come up against.
What would have been your favourite ground?
Favourite ground actually was the Oval. Loved going to the Oval. It was great. The atmosphere was absolutely fantastic. You know, because I used to get such a warm welcome from the Glentoran supporters. I tell you what, sir, you're outstanding. I put that cross into the box and I was wondering who was going to hit it. And you definitely scored it. Blinder, sir. Thank you very much. Glentoran, beautiful.
Good man. See, as a manager, who was the most professional player you managed?
Oh, geez. Actually, probably someone who doesn't enjoy a massive amount of recognition. A young man called Jamie Marks. Jamie Marks was a really good, solid right back, wide right player, and I've never seen anybody who was as dedicated and as meticulous in his preparations. So Jimmy Hart's would have been that player.
Brilliant. Just now that you're obviously a pundit, would there be any of the people who you would have kind of been up against as a manager who maybe, not saying didn't speak to you, but kind of maybe give you a wee bye ball, but now because you're a pundit, you're all friends?
No, actually not. No.
They always liked you?
No, they didn't.